Things are about to change in Boston. The Boston mayoral election just about 2 months away. And as candidates are working to get their messages out to voters, voters are working to figure out who they want as the city's next leader. Now, elections are always an exciting time, a time to see change happen right before our eyes. But this year's election is especially unique. For the first time in Boston's history, all of the major candidates identify as people of color. And you may also notice something else, another major first here. A majority of these candidates are women. The first televised mayoral debate happens 1 week from tonight. It's actually going to be right here on NBC 10 Boston. And as we get ready to see how these candidates square off, we started thinking about women in politics and the shift in recent years. And we're not just talking about here in Boston, right? City Hall, Government Center. We're also talking about Capitol Hill down in D.C. and all the way up the road to Pennsylvania Avenue, the White House, of course. More women are getting into politics. More women are getting elected, and more women are leading. And that's our starting point tonight. Well, we can't talk about women in politics without starting off with one of the highest positions of power in the entire country, the vice president. Kamala Harris made history back in January, becoming the first woman of color and the first woman to be sworn in as vice president. Her swearing in came 100 years after women were granted the right to vote. Only 100 years ago. Isn't that crazy? In her victory speech, Harris spoke about her mother and the generations of women of all races who paved the way for this moment.
And what a testament it is to Joe's character that he had the audacity to break one of the most substantial barriers that exists in our country and select a woman as his vice president. But while I may be the first woman in this office, I will not be the last.
That is for sure. Pennsylvania Avenue, not the only glass ceiling in Washington that's been shattered by women. When it comes to Capitol Hill, every year more and more women are being represented. Let's go back almost 100 years ago, 1917. Montana's Jeannette Rankin made history, becoming the first woman to serve in Congress when she was elected to the House of Representatives back then. Today, of the 535 members in Congress in all, only 143 are women. That is the most ever, but it still only makes up about a quarter of Congress. Considering women make up more than half the population, we are far behind. And I know what you're thinking. That is clearly not enough. And you're right. It is not great. But look, it was much worse. Just 40 years ago, you go back to 1981, the number of women between the House and the Senate was just 17. Total, 17 women. Now there are 15 times more women serving in the Capitol, but far where it should truly be to be truly representative of this country. Well, here in Massachusetts, we're often touted as being very progressive, right? But it's not necessarily the case when it comes to politics here. There has never been a woman or person of color serving as the leader of Boston in the city's long history. Until a few months ago, of course, when Kim Janey took over as acting mayor, when Marty Walsh was appointed to become Secretary of Labor. Janey is now one of the candidates running for that mayor's seat, as are city councilors Michelle Wu and Andrea Campbell, Anissa Essaibi-George, as well as former city economic chief John Barros. Now, we spoke with Amanda Hunter, the executive director of the Barberley Family Foundation. That's an organization that works to advance women's equality and representation in American politics. Hunter says, according to research from the foundation, because there's only ever been men as leaders in Boston, there's this deep-rooted stereotype when it comes to picturing, visualizing the next mayor. They call it the imagination barrier.
And in our most recent study, we asked voters to picture a governor, and a majority still picture a man. So there's still an entrenched stereotype when it comes to what a leader looks like. And so the more women and people of color voters see leading and running for office, the more it breaks down those long-held stereotypes in their minds.
And Hunter says because of that stereotype, women sometimes have a harder time getting elected.
Voters assume men are qualified. Men can just release their resume because men have been leading in these positions for hundreds of years. Women have to work twice as hard to prove that they're qualified and prove that they're able to get results. The good news is by the time women get to the level that they are close to becoming mayor or governor, they are often highly qualified.
Work twice as hard just to win the election. Once women do hold office, Hunter says they often face greater challenges than men in the same positions. She also says that things are changing, though, these days. Women aren't just shattering glass ceilings. They're also breaking down barriers that were built by their male predecessors, and they're being more transparent and more authentic.
We have seen enormous progress, even in the past 5 years, seeing a record women elected to Congress for 2 years in a row, having a woman vice president, seeing so many women elected to the Boston City Council. When my boss, Barbara Lee, started this work in the 90s, women were really trying to fit into a template that was designed for men. And now we see women on the campaign trail showing up unapologetically as themselves, bringing their whole of their life experience. And also, women aren't waiting their turn anymore. They are running for office if they think it is time.
And we've seen exactly that with the Boston mayoral race. If you do want to learn more about these mayoral candidates' personal stories, all you got to do is head to our website, NBC10Boston.com, where we have a comprehensive guide on each candidate leading up to the debate next week. Now, Boston's mayoral history isn't the only one that stands out when it comes to a lack of women representation. The state, get this, has never elected a woman as governor here. In the hundreds of years of leadership, all the governors voted into their positions have all been men. There is, however, one woman that stands out. Her name is Jane Swift. She took over as acting governor of Massachusetts back in 1999. She's the only woman to ever hold that position. And she says it can be hard to be the first woman, especially given the difference, the press coverage that women get, but also said that things change over time and more women chase their dreams and are getting elected. And that perception of women is also changing.
The Center for Women in Politics at Rutgers has done research. They call it hair, hemlines, and husbands, where there's undue attention to what a woman is wearing, to her family life, to what her spouse might do. But I think as we get to a larger number or a cohort of women in office, you start to see that dissipate. And one of the things that I hope we'll see for the first time in this Boston mayoral election is if two women run against each other, perhaps we'll see a diminished attention on the gender issue.
And Swift dealt with a lot. She was actually pregnant with twins while she was in office 20 years ago. She was criticized once for taking a helicopter to attend to one of her daughters who was sick at the time. And now, many years later, she says that the pandemic has really shown that everyone balancing that family and work balance is a normal thing, and it's something that shouldn't be frowned upon.
I have so enjoyed being able to put people at ease that I work with, or people who I am doing Zoom calls with who might have children or pets or parents who they have caregiving responsibilities for, zipping by in the background. And I often tell them that there's some karma for me of being able to be completely laid back and completely accepting.
Karma indeed. There's been more than 20 years since Swift broke that major barrier on Beacon Hill. She says that now is the time to get more representation in leadership across the board.
You're supposed to have more patience as you get older, but I am losing my patience on these still being historic moments for women to garner political power, for sure.
And down in New York State, Kathy Hochul taking over as the first woman governor there. She served as lieutenant governor to embattled former Governor Andrew Cuomo. She's been a longtime advocate for women facing domestic and sexual violence, even helped establish a transitional home for survivors of domestic violence back in 2006. And it's important to note that these firsts in politics, they hold a lot of weight. Amanda Hunter says that once more women are seen in office, they often open the door for other women.
You're definitely right. And that's why if we look at our neighbors in New Hampshire, for example, who have had multiple women governors, it's the case in several states that once a woman leads, it breaks down those stereotypes in voters' minds and opens the door for more women.
And when it comes to women entering politics, Jane Swift says some of her best advice actually came from a woman that she looked up to, her mom.
So 2 pieces of advice. The first is the best advice I got, and it came from my mom, which is it's hard to be first. So you just have to accept that. If you're first, it's hard. And the second is something that I learned afterwards, which is don't wear that mantle of being symbolic importance to other women and girls too heavily. Just do your job. They will appreciate just the fact of your being there. And I've heard that now over the last 20 years from those women.
And when it comes to having more women in politics, we want to know what you think about this change in recent years. We went out on the streets of Boston to find out.
Like, it's a man's job, a woman's job, it's everybody's job. Because the job is for the public. You're supposed to be serving the public, so I think we should try.
A woman is just as qualified as a guy, and I think they can do just a good job running the country and whatever position they're in, if they're appointed or not. And so I think the best candidate should win, and if it's a woman, that's great.
Governors, they need to be in office, they need to be represented because women are underrepresented, so even more of a reason for the need for a women's governor in Massachusetts.
It is somewhat wild in 2021. We're still even having this discussion about all these firsts happening. It's long overdue. It should have been done already. That does wrap up our 10 minutes on the shift to women in politics. We do want to remind you, 1 week from today, the Boston mayoral debate is going to be right here on NBC 10 Boston. That is September 8th. It's at 7 o'clock in this time slot right here on NBC 10 Boston. We do want to hear from you ahead of the debate, what questions you may have for the candidates. You could email in those questions to boston.debate@nbcuni.com. That is a mouthful. You could also just reach out to us with those questions on our social media accounts.